everybody. Well, where do I begin? Sorry, I just have to compose myself before I start to tell everybody what's been going on. But on Tuesday, we went into my IVF center for my 7-week checkup. And I told you guys that was scheduled on the 21st, and our anniversary was the 22nd. I'm going to rewind just a little bit and go back the previous week. I was having some cramping. If you guys remember the video I had made about that, but they said everything was fine, and we got to hear the baby's heartbeat for the first time, and we got the baby's first picture, and that was 6 weeks. It's 6 weeks, and everything looked great, and I was just having some issues with my ovaries being swollen. And my doctor told me that I was free to go and graduate to see my OBGYN on the 22nd. I didn't need to come in on the 21st unless I really wanted to. And I told her I did because I wanted to check on my ovaries and see if they had gone down and just monitor and see how the cyst was doing, because I do have a cyst inside. And she said that was fine, and she told me that she wasn't going to be there, and that the other physician is going to fill in for her. And they do that, And I said, okay. So we went in on Tuesday. And he walks in the room, and he doesn't know that I've already been seen last week and gotten a sonogram. And he starts saying that, well, let's see if there's one baby or two. I just had earlier today a couple. I had told them the good news that they were expecting twins. And I had stopped him and I said, I was here last week and I was told that there was one baby. I got a sonogram. And he was just kind of surprised about that. And he says, well, why are you here? And I said, well, I'm here to check on my ovaries and my cysts. And so he started the transvaginal ultrasound and was looking around, and he sees the baby and he says, well, you're measuring 1 week smaller. And I go, okay. And he said, everything looks good. And he sees the heartbeat, and the heartbeat is flickering on the screen, but he can't get the sound. And then after he's done looking around, he's real quiet, and then he wraps up and he says, your baby's measuring at 6 centimeters. And I said, okay. And he goes, well, it's just, we would like to see the baby at 10 when you're showing that you're 7 weeks. And I was like, okay. And I was getting worried. And he says, well, let me see what you were measuring last week when you were in here. And he gets the paperwork. He leaves the room, and I'm getting dressed. And Jerett and I are just worried what he's going to say. And he comes back in the room, and he said, well, the baby has grown. Your first ultrasound, you were 3. Now the baby's 6. So there's growth, but it could go either way. And I said, what are you talking about? And he wouldn't alliterate on what he was saying. He just kept everything real short and brief. I don't really care for this doctor. He's very black and white, not a very compassionate person in my eyes, not very sensitive. And he jokes around a lot that I feel is inappropriate. And so I said, well, do I have to be worried? And he said, yes, you need to be worried. And I'm like, well, I'm going to talk to my doctor when she gets back. She's out of town until Tuesday. And he goes, fine, I want you to follow up on Friday, this coming Friday. And I'm sorry, not this coming Friday, next Friday, 1 week from today. And I said, fine. And I left the office feeling just devastated and confused and worried and frightened and scared. I just felt really scared. And so that whole night, of course, what do? I Google, I'm reading my pregnancy books that I have. Sorry for the lighting in my room. It's dark and I don't have adequate lighting in here, so I apologize. So I'm looking at my pregnancy books and talking to friends who have been pregnant, who have given me great advice, and they all told me, that guy was obviously very rude to you, and he shouldn't have said what he said to you, and I felt so much better after talking to my friends, and especially one friend named Lori, who has gone through IVF and has been through things that I was going through, and she really made me feel better. It calmed me down a lot. And then my first prenatal appointment was on Wednesday, yesterday. It was our anniversary, 8 years. I was excited to be able to go into the OBGYN office for the first time and be pregnant and sit in the lobby with all the other pregnant women. And I looked around the room and you just see all these beautiful pregnant bellies. And I was so blessed. I felt blessed and I felt scared at the same time. And I waited like an hour before I got to see my OB. And I finally got taken back. And my doctor comes in. This is the first time I'm meeting her, and she's very nice. She's so sweet. Everything that I was hoping she would be. Very compassionate. And of course, a laundry list of questions, and she's reading my little pack of information I had brought in for the appointment, and my files had already been transferred over from my fertility center to her, but she hasn't gotten a chance to look at them, so I was catching her up. And she started her examination on me, and she had a sonogram that goes on top of the belly and a transvaginal sonogram. And so she scans my belly and she says, your bladder is really full. You need to empty your bladder. And she's like giggling. And I said, okay. So I went and emptied my bladder. And then I came back in the room and she did another scan and she could see the baby. She could see the sac and she could see the baby. And she said, let me use the probe to see the baby better. And so then we switched, and she's looking around and she sees the baby, and her monitor is so clear, a lot clearer than at my fertility center. And I see the little baby, and she says, we can't pick up a heartbeat. I can't see the flickering of the heart. And I was looking at the screen and I knew what she was talking about because I had seen that flicker when we first had seen the heart beating. So I knew what to look for. And it was just dead silence in the room. She's looking and she's trying all different directions and she's pushing on my stomach, and at one point she makes me hold my breath and nothing. She can't see anything. And so then she stops and she makes me sit up, and she said, usually by now, I can see a clear picture of the heartbeat. Even if I can't hear it, I can see it. And I can't see your baby's heart beating. She says the baby's measuring in 8 centimeters. which was a different measurement from what my fertility doctor gave me. He told me the baby was at 6, and she says it's at 8. And she says that, that number's always off. It can't be absolutely accurate. And I told her what had went wrong yesterday with the fertility doctor and how upset I was. And she said that's nonsense. And, we don't base it just solely off of that number. There's other factors to consider before you go and you tell someone that they need to worry. And she was just so compassionate. And she just turned to me and she said, I'm going to be honest with you, but I feel you're going to have a miscarriage. The way things are looking. She said, but I want you to go to my other my other office and have another scan done by another machine that's more high powered. And then I will be back on Monday, and they will let you know right away when you go in whether the heartbeat is there or not. You don't have to wait for the results until I get back in. So I left the office, me and Jerett, and that was our anniversary yesterday. And we left the office and we just felt numb. We felt like our whole world has just been ripped from right underneath our feet. I honestly did not see this coming. I didn't think this could happen. I cried more tears than I ever cried last night. And Jerett called in to work today so we could go to the appointment together. Last night was a rough night. We hardly got any sleep. We kind of took shifts. And at one point I woke up in the middle of the night and I literally had a panic attack. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like the air was getting sucked out of the room. Sorry, my phone was ringing. So it wasn't a good night. And then this morning we got up, headed over to the other doctor's office, had the scan, and they confirmed that the baby's heart wasn't beating. And the lady was very nice about it. She was as nice as you can be when you're looking into two people's eyes who literally their whole life has changed in a blink of an eye. And so I got dressed, cried in the room, cried all the way to the car, cried home. My husband has done everything he can do to make me smile, to make me not want to just lay in bed all day and shut the world out. It's been very hard today. And I don't expect it to get any easier in the next couple of days. And on top of all of this, we had sent out our announcing we were pregnant 2 days ago. So there are members of our family who are just now receiving that announcement. And now we have to tell them it's not going to happen. I know all of you are going to be here for me. I know a lot of you are going to leave the most beautiful comments. And there are going to be some of you that just don't know what to say, and that's okay. Because honestly, I wouldn't know what to tell myself. But just know that I'm not going to give up. Jerett and I won't give up. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep going on. I'm going to wait for the doctor to call me on Tuesday and tell me what the next step is. Right now, I'm just scared. I've never been through this before. Just please pray for us that we can get through this, that God can comfort us in this time. And just know that we will be back. We will be back and we will fight. But all I can say is that I wouldn't have changed one thing. Even if it was to be a mom for 7 weeks. So I think that's about all I have to say right now. And thank you all for being there for me from the beginning. And we'll talk soon. Bye.